hello. What's going on? Hey, what's up, Eric?
Good evening. What's up? What's up? Good evening to everybody.
Good evening, everyone. Today's show, we're pretty much this is part three of Snitches Get Stitches versus See Something, Say Something, and we're going to talk a little bit more in detail about the different environments on both of these. Why would someone not be a snitch, and why would someone see something, say something, see something, say something? So we're going to talk in detail about the different type of atmospheres, or I should say, living situations that would cause this type of scenarios to go out. So, Eric, what do you think? What's the first thing that come to mind when you have people that don't snitch? What's the first thing you think of about their situation, or what type of environment they're living in?
It starts, like you said, it starts with the environment. It's also how they were raised, and it's also what they got from their raising. See, you can come from an environment, but you don't have to be a product of that environment. And what it boils down to is what they think of self. Because if the goal is to protect your family or the community and keep them safe, you would think that it's logical to go see something, say something.
Right.
However, if you were raised and taught differently, you would say, "Oh, I'm not saying nothing." But you got to look at it. There's consequences to your actions. If you see something, say something. The consequence is that person is off the street. Now, the consequence of you not saying a word, that same person that did such crime is still on the street, is still free. So now you got a problem. There is a serious problem. So you have to take a stand. You have to take a stand, and hopefully that stand is for what's right. And for what's right is you do a crime, you got to do the time. If you don't want to do the time, don't do the crime. That's what it boils down to: how you were raised, your environment, and what you decide to stand for. Because nothing good comes from not talking. I get so tired of looking at the news when I do look at it and they're saying, "Well, so and so was murdered right here on this spot, uh, 2 years ago, 3 years ago," and the police come on tape and say, "We just need one piece of evidence to find out who did it." I mean, the guy's being sincere. I'm looking at his facial expression, his body movement. He really wants to solve this crime, but nobody's saying nothing. Somebody knows. Somebody knows. So you mean to tell me, in your heart of hearts, you not talking is the right thing when this person was a brother, when this person was an uncle, this person is a cousin, or even at a minimum, a human being. You mean to tell me that his family deserve to sit there and be sad and not sleep because they don't have no closure? You that's all right with you?
Well, see, I think it's more than that. Because most people, like, if, like, for example, I went to the community watch meeting with Pleasant Acres, and see that community, that neighborhood, were very active in preventing crime in their neighborhood. So
That's
when you have
good.
a neighborhood that works together to prevent crime, then it makes it easier for everyone to be a part of that. But
Mm-hmm.
if you're in a neighborhood that promotes crime, then the odds are against you. And I think that type of environment makes a difference. I know I drove around like on Friday just to get a better understanding on why is crime thriving in certain neighborhoods and not in others. Is I drove out to all these different neighborhoods, and what I've discovered is that some of these neighborhoods are built on crime.
Mm-hmm.
The way everything works is all they all it's like a ecosystem all by to itself, to where it thrives on each other. And I know with the chief of police, that was one of his comments that he made, is just that sometimes you see the issues and the problems, and why people don't come forward is because that ecosystem that is built to where one supports the other, and if you mess up with one, it destroys the other stuff that's going on. So that's one of the biggest things you have to like, and I think that's one of the things that people have to understand is that a community that supports fighting crime and violence will make it easier for people to see something, say something.
Yeah.
I know with Pleasant Acres, I enjoyed their meeting. What day was it? On Monday, and that was the biggest part. Yeah, that was yesterday. Ooh, boy, I'm like my days all merged together. But the way they're set up to where you had the church, you had the police department, fire department, all of them came to this meeting, and it's like they are working together to prevent crime in their neighborhood. So it makes it easier for someone to see something, say something. I know there was one young lady in there, she was on it. I mean, she like they had elder people being taken advantage of. She was bam there to stop it. She got up cameras. I mean, she is on it on fighting crime, or I should say, not fighting crime, but preventing crime. And
Mm-hmm.
that's another thing. There's a difference when you're preventing crime and fighting crime. And
Yep.
most of the time, if you're preventing crime, it's like it can't come in and take over your neighborhood. It can't come in and
No.
take over how you live. But
Yep.
she said that they had episodes that happened to where it could have gone the other way, but because they were all about preventing crime, it didn't go that way. So that is something that's different to where you go to and then you drive right around the corner, and then you have this other neighborhood where everybody's thriving off of crime.
Mm-hmm.
They know what's going on, they know what's taking place, but guess
Mm-hmm.
what? That's where their money, that's where their income is coming in. This is their way of life. So that atmosphere is different, and I think that's the sad part is because some criminals take advantage of that,
Yes. Yes.
and they're well protected because as long as the dollar amount is right, then I ain't that as a
that's right.
don't have to worry about it.
That's right. And like I alluded to earlier, it's about the environment and how you were raised. If you raised
Right,
into a community that's going to prevent, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. That's what you're gonna do. Okay, cool. I know I can go to Mr. Mario and tell him that I saw who wrecked that car. Boom. I can let Mr. Eric know that I know who was breaking into these homes over here. But on the flip side, if like you said, if it thrives on the criminal activity, they're not gonna say nothing. They're gonna take it with a grain of salt. Well, he must have did something. Oh, I'm just glad it wasn't me. Everybody good in here? Okay, cool. And see, it's like the saying goes, the love of money is the root of all evil.
right.
If
And I
you
think
sit there and because you getting paid to look the other way, guess what? You're the next victim. If you
could
think
be
about it,
right. And
you are the next victim when they go how they say when they go to tie up loose ends because the police are closing in on them. Well, who all they gonna get out of this? Who all we was paying to say not to say nothing? Well, somebody said something. They had to. We got to tie up loose ends. You one of them. You the one that taking the payment. So, like you said, if you prevent it, you won't have to worry about it.
right.
You won't have to worry about it. It'll be easy to come forward and say something. It'll be easy to say what happened. It'll be easy to tell what you saw. But on the flip side, if you raise if you're raised on that the other aspect, the other end of the spectrum, then it's gonna be cool with you. You just gonna step over that crime scene and go on back to what you was doing. But nothing good comes out of wrong. I don't care how much money comes from it. I don't care how much material, because the only thing you can get from wrong is material things. The material thing. You're not gonna get anything, any love or caring or nurturing from wrong. Nothing good comes from wrong. That's why it's wrong. That's
Well,
why it's called wrong.
but you got to also think though, is that that can be a double-edged sword because you got some people that don't care about people, and just because that one person who might be that drug dealer, it might be that pimp, it might be that person that's scamming people. Just because they show you some love and care, that and you don't get it at all, period, then it becomes to where, okay, I'm going to support them because they're the ones looking out for me.
It gave me something.
Right.
It gave me something.
And that's why I say it comes back to where it's a community thing. It's like it's going back to
Mm-hmm.
the same principle of back in the days. It takes a village.
Yeah.
Um, if a village is not willing to stand up, then that village will fall. And I think that's one of the biggest things is that a lot of these communities that are snitches get stitches. I'm gonna say that type of community. They are pretty much already set on a path
A
to
doom
where,
of damnation. Yeah.
right, they're setting a path to where this is what they live on. This is how they live. This is their how they thrive in their environment. And then you have those communities that are well connected to, like, because I'm telling you, Pleasant Acres, um, they were well connected. I mean, just to see how the actual church is connected to the community and how the community is connected to the church and how they are able to work together. That even the church, I mean, that was one of the things is like, okay, if the city don't want to pay for signs or this, we'll pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
So that is, I mean, that is something that is how a community is supposed to thrive, to work together, to where when you see something, you say something. And I mean, one of the citizens that lived there, she was really big on, okay, if you come in my neighborhood and you pass by my house 3 times, I'm coming out to take your picture. I mean, that right
I
there,
like that.
yeah.
I like
I
that.
mean, I think that, I mean, just listening to those stories of how they're doing things to prevent crime. Hey, Tess.
Hey y'all.
Hey,
Hey.
we were just sitting here talking about this is like part three of snitches get stitches versus say something, say something. And I was just talking about I attended a community meeting yesterday for a community called Pleasant Acres, and they were doing the community watch, and they had the police there, the fire department, and they were talking about how they go to the extent of protecting their community. And me and Eric was saying that it's a different environment when you have a community standing up for each other. It's easy to fight or I should say to prevent crime. But when you have a community that thrives off of crime, then that's where that snitches get stitches comes into place. And we were talking about the difference between the two of them.
Okay, so basically, what you're saying is when people speak up, they kind of get shut down, or if people feel like someone's snitching on like something that's going on in the community that they don't want to deal with or talk about, is that kind of
Well, it's kind of like if your community is buying together, I mean, they're coming together to prevent crime. It's easy for you to speak when you see something, you say something. But
right?
if you're in a community like I told Eric, I like Friday, I drove around to these different areas to get familiar on why, like, you got these communities that thrive on crime, and every time you turn around every weekend, there's something going on in this community. And so me, I mean, um, hey Marcella, with me, it was just like I wanted to go see for myself these different neighborhoods. Why are there so much stuff going on in these neighborhoods? So when I drove through one neighborhood, and I video record everything just so I have like a mental record, so I can go back and look over it. Every time I hear the news, now I can go back and look at the video of that neighborhood. So one neighborhood that has a lot of crime here in Fayetteville, it you can tell it thrives off of crime, and the people that don't support crime or are not a part of that crime are hostages in their own neighborhood. But then you go to like Pleasant Acres, and Pleasant Acres is just after going to the community meeting yesterday. They are, I mean, I'm telling you, one young lady, she says, "You pass my house 3 times, I'm coming out to take your picture." She has prevented people taking advantage of the elders out there, so they look out for their senior citizens in their neighborhood. So that environment is a different environment because then it makes it easier for the community to, if they see something, they say something. And
Oh,
in that meeting, they were, I mean, I ain't gonna lie, they had it on lockdown. You had the church, you have the, I mean, even the crime prevention from the Fort Fayetteville Police Department. They all were working together as a team to make sure that no crime comes into that neighborhood. And they had a couple of episodes where um, they could have been drug dealing, it could have been human trafficking, but it got shut down quick. So that's a difference to where you can't come into a neighborhood that works together to prevent crime versus a neighborhood that thrives off of crime, to where
got it.
everybody's become numb to it. Everyone becomes to where, okay, it's okay to have crime because we're used to it. And then you have those that don't want crime in those neighborhoods are hostages in their own house.
Mhm.
So we were just talking about, like, so my question to everyone is, how do you support the hostage in these neighborhoods? What can be done when an actual person is living in a neighborhood and they have no say so on the outcome of crime in their neighborhood?
Well, like I said before, last week when we was talking, I said that it has to be someone. It has to be someone that's going to come forward to try to start a community watch, or even try to get other people in the neighborhood to come together to try to take back their neighborhood. Because sometimes they say it can't just take one person, but sometimes it can. They can just start start the ball rolling. Because it's sad that you live in a neighborhood and you feel like you are held hostage in your own house. So it has to be one or two people that's going to come together and form some type of community watch, or form some kind of committee to where they can take back, their neighborhood and stuff like that. Because if we just sit and we can sit and talk amongst each other, but if sometimes somebody just have to step up and do something, and sometimes it does take one person, and maybe that one person can start a domino effect for other people to come together and start saying, okay, you know what, we're going to get more involved with our community. It has to be it has to start with somewhere and somebody.
Right. Well, that's the thing though, is when you live in these type of neighborhoods and you come up in these neighborhoods, you're outnumbered.
Yeah.
And the problem that you have is it's not as easy as it seems, because when you're outnumbered, you need support from others to come with you. You can't be by yourself.
Yeah.
Mhm.
One person in a situation where the neighborhood is completely full of crime activity can't do it by themselves.
So
It
it's
takes
I have a question. So is Fayetteville broke down? Do y'all have districts, or how does
it's
your
districts.
okay.
Districts.
We
So
have different districts. We have 9 districts in Fayetteville.
okay, so what district does this particular crime fall under, and how are you guys holding that person over that district accountable? Because see, that's going to start, you got to follow the money too, because it takes money to police and to patrol. So the thing that we go wrong as a lot of times as Black people, African Americans, or whatever we call
Excuse me.
today, um we don't know how to work the system. So we vote people in and then we don't hold them accountable as the citizens. The whole point in having these people in these positions is not for them to look cute and get in front of the cameras, is to make a difference. So who's over these districts, and is this person over districts with high crime levels and doing nothing across the board in their crime levels? What are they doing? Because that's got to start with somebody who has the power to make moves to get law enforcement involved. But see, what we got to understand too is when you talk about snitches get
Stitches.
Stiches.
stitches, we ain't got no planes. We're
Right.
not bringing drugs over here. So we got to remember a lot of this is money. So do they want the crime in that neighborhood to go away? That
Well,
becomes a bigger question because you don't know. That's why I said you got to kind of hold these political people in these districts accountable. I think that's where the citizens that have the voice that can speak up and know how to communicate, that's where you can start to advocate for those individuals, because most people only know fight or flight
Right, right,
in those type of situations. They don't know how to authentically communicate their emotions, or that they are trapped in their own home, or they are prisoners to their own home, because they immediately think, as soon as you say something to them, that you're judging or trying to attack them. So you have to be careful.
And you're right about that, Tisha.
well,
As
see,
far as like
the
you said,
biggest
do
problem, and you hit it right on the nose. You hit it right on the nose is that a lot of people don't vote in Fayetteville. That is the biggest problem in Fayetteville is people don't vote. So when they don't vote, then whoever does vote controls the narrative on who is that official that represents their district. And just like I mean, we had an extremely low turnout this last voting cycle. We just had a primaries, and with our primaries, it was extremely low turnout. And the thing is, the district that has the most crime, which is District 2, had 7 council members running for that position. This district has a history of so many people. I think the highest number I think I've seen is 11 different people. The last time I believe it was 11 that was running for District 2. So like me, I ain't gonna lie, I got kind of curious. Why is there always so many people running for District 2? Because District 2 has majority of the crime, but at the same time, it has a lot of wealthy parts of it as well. So it's a combination of the two. So like most of the crimes that have been happening here in Fayetteville, majority of them fall in District 2. And I think that is the problem is like I said, when people don't vote, and this is the problem I have across the board with Fayetteville, people don't vote in Fayetteville. And that is the number one problem that causes a lot of issues is they don't care. And when they don't care about their community, they don't care about the outcome of who they elect into these positions, then that becomes the problem across the board. People feel like, well, why vote? Because vote doesn't change nothing. But in reality, it does. Like you got like my district, for example, we don't really have a lot of crime or anything like that. We have a good our district. Our one of our district is the only one that no one's running against her because most likely she's doing a good job. But these other districts is completely different, and that's why I say it's like how can you protest, go out here and protest, but then you don't want to vote, and that's why I made a big deal about that. Is yet you'll jump out here in these streets and protest, which means nothing, versus your vote has more power than a protest.
But if you're in fight or flight mode, voting is the last thing on your mind. If you're
Right,
being held hostage in your home, because again, education. Remember when we all began to vote, or if you look at the foot traffic, people would come around and speak with you about, this is why it's important. This is this person. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think people are being educated to a
and
to a degree to where it makes a difference. And then, like you said, you got 11 people running, but when these people are getting in office, what are they doing? Because we're not living the life that these people are living. So I can't imagine being in a war zone in your own home. You don't feel safe in your own home.
right,
Well, can I say this too? Also, too, what I noticed too is like you said, and it goes back, it goes way back, but it's like even in Fayetteville, um, if you don't live in certain communities, and I just think it's just unfair across the whole board. Even if you don't live in certain communities and districts, like she said, you're not even going to get good education. And I think it's more about where you at. I think it's more about the finances as far as like the money. You know what I'm saying? Because like Mario saying, you said District 2 is like the worst one. You said District 2,
right
Mario.
now District 2 is the one that has a lot of the crime. Pretty much from the last thing I was looking at, majority of the things that are going on, all the major murders and things that have been taking place is all in District 2. Between District 2 and District 4, and then District 3 just a little bit. But 2, 3, and 4 is like the main heart of Fayetteville. And
Cause
it's
you,
also the main heart with all the poverty and
of
all
course.
the issues. And then, like I said, if you go back and look at it, like what I did in the videos is I went to all these different places, and you can see the houses that are abandoned. You can see the abandoned buildings where crime thrives on these different places because if you let's say for example, like let's say my neighborhood, your neighborhood, the chance of you seeing an abandoned house is slim to none.
Mm-hmm.
A chance of you seeing a broke down building, and I mean, and that's what I say. You go like, for example, you go down Bragg Boulevard. What do you see down Bragg Boulevard? You see nothing but abandoned places. And then when you go into these neighborhoods, like nowadays, most of the stuff going on Bragg Boulevard, all those trailer parks, all those different things are now becoming abandoned. So that those places are thriving off of crime because it's easy to hide crime in those type of scenarios. So
And they,
what are we doing as a community to fight these things? So like, and you look at Area Two, I know when I went out and on Saturday we did the march, and we went through Massey Hill, and we when we did that march, we pretty much got a chance to see these how the community lives. We get a chance to see where all this crime is going on taking place. So those are the things that we have to look take into consideration. So then it goes back to voting, and I think that is the biggest part is you got to get people that care in these positions. You got to get people that are going to go out here and take the time out to understand what the problems really are. I mean, I know. Tomorrow we have our big meeting tomorrow where we're doing a community unity meeting where we're pulling everybody together because the police can't do it by themselves. The council members can't do it by themselves. It starts with the actual citizens. It starts with the people, and if the people are not engaged in the community and voting and doing something about the crime, then it's a lost effort. It's like right now, if and this thing is, if someone was to come to your community right now, your community would say, "Hell no, that shit ain't going down." Well, excuse me, that ain't going down in our neighborhood. I mean, seriously, I mean, because your community is a brand new community, and they're not going to tolerate. And then look at the people that live in your community. Majority of them are what? They're law enforcement, retired military.
retired military and all that.
So that is one of the things that like how is the community designed? What is the community design of? And like I look at my community, most people live in my community are retired military. We got two police officers that live in the community.
Mm-hmm.
So are they going to allow crime to come in and take over the neighborhood? No. Okay, so it's like if and that's why I go back and I was over the last couple of weeks. I'm pointing out the neighborhoods that are taking the hit. Majority of them are the older neighborhoods in Fayetteville
Mm-hmm.
that have been known for having issues because of different things that are taking place. You look at the Merck is not as bad. I'm gonna say this: Merck is not as bad as it used to be. Bragg Boulevard, I don't know what is like. It become a war zone. And
Because
it's not.
yeah. Because I
But go
grew up
ahead.
like I said, I grew up on Murchison Road, and Murchison Road was not a bad place. I think it just got a bad rep. You understand what I'm saying? So we
Right.
grew up on Murchison Road. We was able to go outside and play, walk up and down the street. So the Merc kind of like got a bad name and stuff like that. But I'm gonna say this also too. It has a lot to do, I think, with like financial gain. Because you know what, like Mario, like going down Rafe Road. Rafe Road gonna take you all the way down to Haymont Hill. It's gonna take you all the way down to Haymont Hill. We used to live in those areas, and that was like all black people and stuff like that. And that big church that sits right there, a lot of times they have an agenda, and it wasn't even crime written over there, but they done took all that land. So now every black person that used to live on that street when my grandmother lived and I lived across the street, it's like now they own all that. They took houses and stuff, and my grandmother's house is no longer there. My aunt lived right next door to her. And I think a lot of times it's financial gain. You understand what I'm saying? Because like Tisha made a comment. She was like, sometimes they don't want these areas to become better. And it's not just the people that live in the areas. Sometimes the people that has the money, they don't want these areas to get better. You know why? Because that's cheap real estate. And
Right.
so if they can allow the crime to continue on until now they start putting abandoned buildings and everything is just, people getting evicted, then they can go in there and they can buy that cheap, they can buy that land for cheap. So I think also too, I think a lot of times it's an agenda too, to why, because you have to ask yourself, okay, why is certain areas so bad? It's not just the people that live there. It has to be people that actually have the financial means to come in there and try to do something, about these areas being so bad. I know it starts with the people too and in the community, but we have to really think about it. We have to watch. Sometimes we have to watch closely whenever other stuff is going on, because it's an agenda. And I really believe that they want certain areas to stay the way they are just so they can get that land for cheap when it is time to go in there and clean those areas up. That's just
then they call it gentrification.
Right, and I was gonna say that's gentrification, and that is what has become like the major thing that's been going on. Like Atlanta, I mean, it was crystal clear on how Atlanta changed when 1996, when they had the Olympics there. They went through and cleared out all the projects downtown.
Of course, it always got to look good.
They wanted to look good for the Olympics. Yeah. So all those people that live downtown in those different project areas, and they shut those places down. I mean, I know one area.
What is right back the project. Right.
And that's why I say it's all connected together, because when you come into the situation now, what happened? What happens to those families now that can no longer afford to stay in these places? And you hear it all the time where people come in, these different corporations, different business owners, real estate owners come in, they purchase all the land, and like you got families, and this is a sad thing. I've heard this one story where a family was used to paying $300 where they lived at. The real estate people came in, bought up the property, changed it to where now it costs $800 for that same place, but they've been paying $300 for the last 15 years. So now where are they going to go?
They want them out.
The $500. So now what happens? Now our homeless population becomes larger. It's like a circle of life.
And don't stop at the homeless.
Right.
The other biggest issue is then the prison center system gains more prisoners, free work, free labor.
It's all agenda.
It's a domino effect. That's why I say America is not a reality; it's a concept.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Ari.
All you gotta do is follow the money. Don't look at what's happening. Look at how it happened. You know what brought it to where it is. You just gotta follow the money. Everything leads to everything else. Prime example: this movie Butterfly. That's why the movie ain't been in the news too much lately, because it was too close to the truth. This lady family died, right? So she moved into a homeless encampment to hide and get her revenge. Now, they looked in the city looked at the map, and right where the homeless encampment was, the crime was down like 40%. It was down 40% lower than the surrounding area, the quote unquote good areas. So they sent police to the homeless encampment to find out why the crime is so low there. Instead of saying, let's figure out what they're doing and what's working, they want to find out why is the crime less. And that's what it is. Prison pays, crime pays, bad neighborhood pays, because you can sit there and you can go into these meetings and say, I need this much money to fix
bingo
the murk. Okay, well, you get this much money, and everything leads to an election. Well, since I've been here, crime is down 15%.
Systematic oppression.
It's just like that's
so I use the same system that's supposed to help you to oppress you.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's why I say I just feel like being born and raised here, living on the Mercantil Road. I used to live on Bragg Boulevard too as well. I'm born and raised here. And I feel like, to me, and to me, this is just in my mind, it's not really, and it's really sometimes not a community problem, because it's like, you can't tell me that things can't be fixed just based on the community getting together and trying to figure out what the problem is, because the city of North Carolina, the Fayetteville, they know what the problem is. And I really believe that they want it to stay that way. Because if they didn't want it to stay that way, they would figure out ways to make it better. And also too, the education and stuff like that. You have to, even like with schools like Jack Britt. If you go to Jack Britt, if you live in the district or you go to Jack Britt, you have to really show proof that you really go to Jack Britt. But one thing about Jack Britt, I really feel like those are where a lot of the crackheads and the people on drugs and stuff, like, for real. Because, and it's sad that you have to move in certain areas that all our children can't get the same type of education based on where they live. And I don't think it's a community problem. I think it's a government problem. I really do believe it's a government problem, because all children should get the same type of education. It does not matter what areas they live in. They just should. They just should.
But see, the thing is, if by being a government problem, guess what? We vote these people in.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes,
it's like,
exactly.
and the thing is, and that's the problem that lies. I mean, when people don't care, and this is the thing that it's a circle. That's why I call it the circle of life. If the people don't care to make a difference,
Mm-hmm.
then the whole cycle starts with the person. The person, the individual. If you're not raising your children right, it starts at home. If you're not voting, it starts at home. It all starts with that individual. That one individual can make a difference if they're raising their children right, if they're voting, if they're doing everything a citizen is supposed to do. We wouldn't have a crooked government. If we had people who cared about their community and they actually went out and voted, then it would not be. But like what Fayetteville is designed is a small percentage. I'm gonna give it a little credit and say 12% of the community votes in Fayetteville. When it's not a major election, when it's the local government, you're getting 12% of the people who actually vote. What is 12% going to do versus the other 88%? So criminals, crooked government can thrive because they know people are not going to vote. They know people are not going to do what is necessary to make a change. And I think that is the problem. And yeah, okay. I'm going to see. I said, Vanessa, lost my son to violence. We need people who care. And absolutely, that is the problem. It's like I can be in District 7. I think y'all are in District 9. I believe that's where y'all live at, District 9, and then so forth. Our districts are have all the people that care. I'm gonna say I'm just using an example. I'm not trying to downplay anybody's. If you have different districts that care about their neighborhoods, they're striving to make sure their neighborhoods are good. But guess what? These other neighborhoods are across the street from us in a different district are not that. They don't have the same resources that we have.
But the people who care are the snitches.
Right. The people who care.
I'm just saying, the people who care get mistreated for caring when you try to create a better. So my question is, how do you hold? And this is not just for Fayetteville, this is across the board.
Right, absolutely, it's across the board.
How do you hold these elected officials in your local government accountable? That's what the unity needs to be. And then that way the people who care can have a voice and advocate, but you can't do it alone. It's not a one man or one woman battle. It has to be where you have like-minded people who don't have a hidden agenda.
Absolutely.
And that's what you got to get to. So how do we educate ourselves? Because I'm going to be honest. I know I understand voting. I understand the districts to a certain extent, but I've never lived in the ghetto or the hood or whatever they label it. I don't know how to go into that environment and help them. So do I not care? It's not that I don't care. I don't know how to help them. So do any of us really know how to help? So that's the root we need to educate ourselves on. If we do care, how do we go about caring?
And I think Pamela says lower downtown poverty striking as at risk neighborhoods doesn't have a nice modern recreation center, but yet Fayetteville keeps placing poor kids on Old Wilmington Road, Grove, at V Street. Nothing
And
to
she's
do
right.
to
We
do.
care. Yeah, we care for her.
We care for our community, but things have been so bad for so long.
Mhm.
People get yeah. I
Yep.
got it.
That's what I
And
was
that
just saying. So, how do you help people who are tired, but you're not a part of their community? How do you help them get the help? That's
and
that's the
Well, this is where that elected official come in at. We can only
exactly.
do so much. Now the problem is once they get voted in, we have no way of checking. We have no checks and
Checks and
balances in
balances.
play
Yep.
to make sure that Senator Mario is doing his job in District 96. There's no way. There's nothing. There's nothing. He
yes,
could
there is.
talk.
Oh yeah, there is. There is. It's just that people don't want to do it. It's like it takes work. It takes time. I mean, like for example, I asked the question the other day: how many people pay attention to the city meetings? How many people are paying attention to all the information that they're putting out on what's going on in Fayetteville? Nobody's paying attention to it.
No.
It's like when I say no one's paying attention to it, there are checks and balances. People just don't care to use them. If you go to like right now, if you go on their YouTube channel and you watch every single thing that the city is doing, you can see which council members are actually doing the job and which ones are not. But I
Yeah, the
asked that
ones that
question.
probably have the white people that has the money and stuff like that. You know what I'm
No,
saying?
it's not even that. It's just that it's like when you
It's
go and you sit in, you go in. It's like you go in and you look your city. It's like, and this is the thing I want people to. It comes a point in time where you have to stop and go and see it for yourself.
Mhm.
If you take time out to go and watch what is going on in our city council meetings, it's a better understanding in who is about the people and who is not. Who is trying to protect the interests of those people, those real estate, those crooked people coming in, taking our money and misusing it. We got funds going out to all the wrong things in our
yeah.
city. Who's voting for these things? They see the thing is, it is a requirement that they have to publicize everything that they do in city council. But who is actually paying attention to
Reading
it?
it. Right.
Who's reading it?
Mhm.
Who's watching it? I mean, they have two channels where they are broadcasting what's going on in the city needs. So it's like I'm not
You
saying
see,
what
they overload you with the negative stuff so that you are
you
so
don't want to care.
overwhelmed
Right,
that you're discouraged to even, like she said, these people are scared in these communities. But
right,
then the other thing I see too is when you have people who care that try to go into the communities to help, you're rejected because
Mm-hmm.
you don't live here, you're not from here. This is something we got to change up here too, to understand that other black people are educated enough to help each other too. That
right.
Yeah.
information does not have to flow directly from white people.
Yeah.
We have gotten to a place where we're educated enough to help each other as well, but we don't respect each other
Or
enough
receive it
to
well.
receive in situations
Mm-hmm.
what we need to receive from each other. I don't have, like I just told you, I know I don't understand the hood, and I'm not gonna go down there and pretend like I do, but I understand enough to say, hey, let's get together and hold this district, whatever, 2, 3, 4, 10, 11, 12. This person needs to be held accountable. This is what I found out we can do to hold this person accountable.
And we have to learn how to stop using a play on words because like you say, it's like we always know every time we use a term like the hood, it's automatically bad. You know what I'm saying? They live in the hood. So automatically when somebody say they live in the hood, where did hood come from? It came from neighborhood, right? It derives from neighborhood. So
Right.
why every time that we say the hood, we automatically know as black people that or any other race that is oh, that's a bad area because they live in the hood. You see what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
we need to learn how to start taking back our communities instead of saying that, oh girl, they live in the hood or they live in the hood. We need to actually let people know exactly where we are, where these communities are, and stop giving it a bad name because, like I
Yep.
said, no matter what we say or how we say it, we know what it means because you have stereotypes and stuff like that. It's like I guarantee you anything that we say and we use it in a different term, we know what it means. You see what I'm saying? Because it's always going to look bad when we use certain words towards certain demographic areas. So you say the hood, they live in the hood, girl. So automatically we already know it's supposed to be bad.
But see,
Mario lives in the hood. I live in the, and I'm just saying, I'm just saying, but we're like, if we don't change our mind, so constantly we're
Yes.
gonna, we don't change our minds because the hood come from neighborhood.
But
So
listen to what Mario said about that District 2.
yes,
Is part
okay,
whatever that
Power
is
hood.
with
She
the
not
bad
ashamed.
part, but then there's
what?
rich parts to it
Steve
as well.
Power hood. She not
Mhm.
ashamed of it.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's the like he said too, that District 2 is divided into two sections. You got what
mm-hmm.
they classify as the bad part, then you've
Give
got
me
the
that.
money, the tradition. So does people understand that there is money in District 2? And that's why you
Yeah,
got 11, 12, and 13 people running for it.
yeah.
It's
Right. And I
not,
And
think
you know
see,
what I mean?
and
and
we
I
Like,
think
got
about when I asked the thing is when I asked these like when I went up and I talked to most of the people that are running, I didn't get a chance to talk to all of them, but the ones that I thought they all have their personal story on why they're running. And majority of the
okay.
time is the majority of the ones I talk to, they want to make a difference in District 2. That's the main reason why they're running is they're tired of all the bad things that are going on in District 2. So they're running for that purpose. But one of the things that I know, one thing I agree with Marcella, I say communities because I don't want to put anyone down. But
Yeah.
one of the things I don't like is um, I don't like the fact that we have probably one of the largest communities of retired military, and all we do, and I'm gonna say this, I know I'll probably take some slack for this, is all they want to do is sit up in their house, enjoy the money that they're getting for their retirement and their disability, and can care less as long as it doesn't affect them. Whatever happened to we leave no one behind?
Yep.
Those are values that were taught to us when we
Yep.
were soldiers. We
Yep.
never leave anyone behind.
Mhm.
So and that's the part that bothers me because when I hear people talk bad about veterans, I understand why they talk bad about veterans. Is because don't get me wrong, there's a lot of us out here that are fighting for these different communities. There's a lot of us out here that are doing things, but then we're also considered the outsiders because we're not from Fayetteville. So we're
Mhm.
dealing with
mm-hmm.
but the thing is, we
Mhm.
are soldiers, we are warriors, we know how to fight these fights, we know how
Mhm.
to fight these battles. Some fights don't have to be like guns blazing, just because of our
Mm-hmm.
educational, our structure, our training,
Mhm.
we can make a difference if we all came together. You have a lot of these individuals like I get it. They grew up in Fayetteville and they know how Fayetteville is. I'm not from Fayetteville. I grew up in College Park, Georgia. I understand the difference on when you see people coming in, buying up your community, and then kicking all the people that can't afford it, what their prices are, and then those people become homeless. I've seen it happen in College Park, Georgia. So
Yeah.
when people, and the thing is, that's what I'm saying. It's not just a Fayetteville thing; it's across the board that
Yeah, it's
this
cross
is
the board.
happening into all these different communities to where we have to, and that's the thing that hurts me the most is do I have to do the stuff that I'm doing? No, I can sit back in my house and as long as it doesn't come to my doorstep, I can, I hear it in the news, but what I'm doing is I've been active. I served my country. Now it's time for me to serve my community. I have the skill set to where I can make a difference. I have the skill set to where I can help people. So as a veteran, I get it. Some of us are mentally tired of the fights and battles that we went through when we served. But guess what? We can make a difference. There's no reason why the battle zone is in our backyard. There's no reason for that. And I think that is the reason that we have to come together and do something about it. You got, like I said, some of these neighborhoods, like you said, they don't know how to fix their problems. They don't know how to solve their problems. But we know how to do it. We know how to help them out. We train people to go in to fix countries. So why can't we do it for our own communities? And
And like
that's
you
the
say,
problem. But
mm-hmm.
go ahead. I'm sorry.
And you said a key word too, Mario. You said affected. Like a lot of times, me and my husband always say, when people when it don't affect me, then I'm not gonna be. You know what I'm saying? When it don't affect me. So you have people, you have more people that can do stuff too, but they have that mentality that it don't affect me, it don't affect my
Mhm.
family, it don't affect my
Mhm.
children. You understand what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So
It,
go ahead.
well, it's embedded in you, and that's how you got to get over that mindset. Okay, well, that District 2 ain't got to worry about me. Yes, you
Bingo.
should worry about it. Okay, well,
Right.
District 12 have more murders in the United States than any other district. Well, guess what? You're in that city where that district is.
Mhm.
It could affect. It does affect you. It affects the community. You're right. It doesn't affect you. It doesn't affect you directly. It affects you indirectly. That's still part of your community.
But
See,
it's sad. It's sad though, if you really take a look. I mean, and this is how I look at it. We have the largest military installation connected to our community. These
Yep.
individuals will go in and fight a war in a heartbeat for another country.
Bingo.
But we can't even take care of our own community that supports this base.
That's
These
true.
people live, their families live in our community, but we can't do something. We are number 8 in the state of the highest crime rate in the United States. I mean, in North Carolina, excuse me. Let me make sure I said it right. So it was like we have the most crime, but yet we have the largest military installation in the United States. These people are trained to keep the peace, but we can't keep the peace in our own community here in Fayetteville.
Because why can't you guys? Why aren't y'all allowed to guard neighborhoods like you guard the base?
And that's where
Why are you only utilized in situations where we're in a constant threat? Like you got people on here right now, just in this small circle, saying that they're in communities where they're afraid. That goes back to what I said. America is a concept; it's not a reality. We make ourselves involved in other people's stuff, but we don't get involved in our own stuff. And this has been the way it's been forever now. No kind of accountability for us, if that makes sense. But we'll go to another country
right.
and hold them accountable to a standard of how to treat one another. But we
Yeah.
don't do this in our own country.
Yep.
But
And
we'll
see,
go guard a base. We'll go guard a base. Make sure
right.
it's safe. But then you come outside of that base, because is it still on Fort in Fayetteville where the soldiers can't even go on the Murchison Road? Is that still a rule? Because remember,
Well,
for
I mean,
years, yeah, they couldn't even go to certain areas in Fayetteville.
and I think that's
well,
I think that's the problem is that, and I'm gonna say this is that yeah, they still have the no. I mean, it's not as big. The list used to be 10
let's call
pages.
off limit places.
Right. It's like it used to be the list. In 1996 when I first came to Fayetteville. The list was around 10 pages long of places that you could not go to. That list is now condensed down to 2 pages. I looked at it just the other day. There's only 2 pages of places that we can't go to, and majority of those places are bars and tattoo parlors. And majority of them are on Brack Boulevard and Rayford Road. I'll say what was Eric?
It's because they sell illicit drugs. That's why it's undercover. It might be
right
outside the tattoo parlor, but undercover is selling drugs.
Well,
now,
it's
I mean,
because
I ain't talking about like weed. So I'm talking about the real powerful, put you on your back permanently type stuff.
Well, some of it is
in the
that
rich neighborhoods.
right.
I'm just
But
saying.
the thing is some of it is because of health issues. I know like tattoo parlors because of health issues. They're not doing what's up to standard for health code. And then the other thing was that most of these clubs are allowing illegal stuff to take place in their clubs.
Yes.
So that's why those things are in place. But going back to the military side of it, okay, like for example, I know for a fact we spend millions and millions of dollars just to train people to go into countries, what we call PRTs. And what a PRT does is they're a team of individuals from different branches of the military, DOD, Air Force, Army, Marines, Navy, all trained to go into an actual area and help them rebuild their communities, to rebuild their things. If they need a school, this, and so forth. And we're paying to reconstruct these countries. So what I'm looking at is we really need to understand how resources are within an arm's reach that we can do or make a difference. And majority of these people now, don't get me wrong, you can't reach across that gate and grab people out of Fort Liberty, but you have a lot of retirees that have done the training and know the training.
But would they be allowed? That's the thing. It's about having permission. I don't think it's that people wouldn't do it. It's what rights would we be violating? It gets into a bunch of foolery.
Not really.
Well,
I mean, the thing is, as a military person, we know what we can and can't do. We know what we can
Mm-hmm.
and can't do. It's just like with me, of all the PRT
Mm-hmm.
training, all the stuff that I use to train PRTs, from the stuff that I've done for the last couple of years I was in the military, we trained these PRTs to go over there. I have all the training documentation for all of that. Am I allowed to use all that? No, because that
Mm-hmm.
documentation is designed a certain way. It won't work
Mm-hmm.
for community in the United States. So, but the principle is the
Right.
same. So I understand those principles, so I can take those principles and use those to help better the community. But I don't have to actually use their documentation, which we know as military we're not supposed to use certain things because it's just that we're not allowed to.
Need to know.
But we know we have the training to where we know how to go in and mentor. Actually, leave the military out unless you're
Mm-hmm.
asking them to be mentors, right?
Because y'all been trained, but not to protect America in that way. That's the point I'm getting to. Like we can say, so how do you take that training now and implement it in a real environment? And why hasn't it been done if it's so easy to do?
It's
Because
not easy. It's not easy because
It's
the thing is,
not.
you have to, and that's the problem is that I mean, I'm gonna say this: just organizational skills. The organizational skill set can make a difference for a community.
but where do you
Going in,
go to get this kind of stuff approved to start making differences? That's what I'm saying.
that
Like again, we talking about another concept. How do you make it a reality? Because there's plenty of
right,
people that will be willing to help to do this, but you got to make it a reality, not just a concept. If y'all can
and
go
that
do
is
that in a whole nother country, how do
right.
you make that happen and make sense here?
And I think that's where it comes to where you have people, veterans like me and others, Eric, that volunteer their time to go out and make a difference.
Yep.
I mean, like right now, I look at most of the people that we have running these positions are majority of them are retired military, have served. So it's kind of like we can come in and make a difference. Now the ones that are not, I mean, there's some that are just gun ho on doing making a difference because they grew up here in Fayetteville and they're tired of seeing their city being taken advantage of. So you got those individuals taking it, but it takes a lot more than 3, 4, 5 people.
Mm-hmm.
You have to engage in people and get them to show. I mean, and yet you're going to get shut down. I know for a fact I've been getting shut down left and right, but I haven't given up yet. I have not given up. See, the thing was so crazy is I've been doing most of my work behind the scenes.
Things. Yeah.
I had to come, and I hate the fact that I'm out in the spotlight now because that's not what I'm doing it for. I'm doing it because it's time to. It comes a point in time where we need to stop with this BS and get
Bingo.
down to business and take care of what needs to be taken care of. I
Bingo.
like to tell people are like, "Oh, you running?" No, I'm not running. I don't never run for a position, and I think I can do better as an individual running my business
Helping.
and do things
Yeah.
than in a I mean, I just that's how I feel because I can do more. I'm not going to be held accountable by rules and stuff that are guidelines to keep us stuck.
Yeah. Well, how you gonna? I mean, but I'm saying, how can we change the mindset? Because like you just said, like where the crime is in Fayetteville and stuff like that, it's gonna be a continuous process if the mindset don't change. Because some people are gonna where they at now, they're gonna die that way, and they okay with that. You see what I'm saying? So it's
Right.
like, yeah,
Some people you're not, and the thing is, some people. I agree 100% what you're saying, Marcel. Because some people, no matter what you do, you're not going to be able to change their mindset.
they don't.
Mm-mm.
They just like
You're not going to be able
sometimes
to
you're
change
like,
their
woo,
mindset.
Jesus.
But the thing is that you think about it. If they've been in this environment for so long,
Yeah.
Right.
if they've been in an environment for, um, I mean, when I say like, if you've been like, for example, you take a soldier, you go in, you put them in a combat zone for 6 months, 1 year. What happens? They come back, they're mentally messed up. Now you take a person who's living in a neighborhood or community that's been filled with crime for 20 years. They have a whole different type of PTSD going on. And I want
Mm-hmm.
people to understand you don't have to be in a combat zone to get PTSD.
No.
You could
No.
just be in a bad environment
Yeah.
for PTSD.
Yeah.
And so you
And
got
see,
these
that's what I
individuals.
was saying. We go driving down there saying we helping. I'm driving back home to my safety zone. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. Like again, concept reality. We can talk
Kids
about
gotta
it all
allow
day.
environment.
Like I'm seeing
Yeah.
people on here saying y'all don't even have boys and girl club, financial education stuff.
Right.
That's why I'm saying,
I mean,
because
that's y'all got a bigger issue than just your
yeah, I think
elected officials. I can at least say here
they want
there's
to keep it
active
stuck
boys
here.
and girls
I
clubs
don't
and
care what nobody say. Fayetteville,
active activity and stuff to help
yeah,
people, financial literacy programs in
yeah,
the schools. I mean, come on now. This is getting to be a little bit bare bottom minimum here. Something else is going on
yeah,
here.
because it
Look.
is, and I think Fayetteville is to me, it's like I've been here all my whole life. Besides going with the military, going back and forth, coming back and forth. We've been to Fort Bragg 3 times. But I think that I think it's just it's they're not gonna there's no growth to me here. You understand what I'm saying? It's just not, because it's like I said, Mario and Tish, I've been here my whole life. And even growing up, we didn't have a lot of that stuff, boys and girls club. Like you go to other cities and stuff like that. Even on the out, like you say Raleigh, you say Greensboro, you have Durham. You go into some of these cities. I'm not saying they don't have crime, but you go into some of these cities outside of Fayetteville, who has the largest military installation. They have so much more stuff for these children to do, the teenagers to do, for grown-ups to do. You see what I'm saying? And Fayetteville to me is a place where they just wanna stay like stuck. Like where they at? This is where we just gonna build
In
up
the
a
mud.
Walmart. Huh?
Mm-hmm.
In the mud.
Yeah, they just in this, and so and like you said, Tisha, it's bigger than the community. It started in the ground with the root. You know what I'm saying? That's why when the tree grows, the leaves just fall off, because it's not being fertilized. I mean, it's not being watered the way it's supposed to be. So it's bigger than that. Like you said, no girls and boys club. It's nowhere for these teenagers to hang out at. It's nowhere. And then let's go to something else. I feel like this: when you go to jail, when you go to jail, and you spend time in jail, whether it be a felony or whatever the case may be, to me, and the Bible speaks to that, that's double jeopardy. Why can't these people come out of incarceration and have and get a chance? Why do they still have to say, "Oh, you're a felon"? Oh, you know what I'm saying? That's another reason why that we're being held back, and we continue to go out here and commit crimes, because they don't even want to give you a chance when you go out here and you do your time, and you still got to get out of jail after you do your time, and then you go try to find jobs, you try to do whatever. Oh, well, I see that you was in jail 10 years ago. Oh, I see where you had a felony. Why do we have to keep those things on people's records and stuff like that? You know what I'm saying? We as a country, we don't even want to give certain people another chance. Whenever God made us all in his image. You see what I'm saying? But it's just about
So
like
Demetra is saying that there are programs here in Fayetteville for boys and girls club, et cetera, et cetera. She feels as though that there's lies being told and that there are programs here. So this is what we're get the point that we're making, and the reason we're having this discussion, so that if there are programs and
let's put it out.
resources that people can get access to them, because you
Social
got
media.
other people on here saying that they don't have access to those resources.
Exactly.
So that's like me saying in my community I have access to these things. That doesn't mean it's in this other community, and that's what we've got to stop doing. We've got to stop saying don't discuss this, don't discuss that, and then this is what I believe. My truth is not your truth.
Well, see, there's a difference. I'm a speaker because I know who she is, and I want to say this is that there is two sides to this story.
Mm-hmm.
People know of resources, just like I've reached out to different. And this is the problem in Fayetteville. Okay, this is how I'm gonna sum up all these problems. Is you have some people who know all the resources for Fayetteville and don't have the means to share the information. And then you have people that they're stuck in their environment to where they don't know these resources exist.
Bingo.
So though you have, and see, and the thing is with Fayetteville, the overall problem with Fayettille is nobody wants to work together. So that's where there's a big stick. That's why you have people on here. One person saying we have these resources, and one person saying we don't. It's because you have all these individuals that know all these resources. Then I'm not saying all. I'm not going to say that there's all, but they are not working together.
They're not talking to each other. Yeah,
they're not talking to each other. I mean, I've sat back, and since I've been doing this for the last 3 weeks, I've actually gone out here and I've been talking to different people. I've been engaging people on Facebook, and I'm finding out I thought these resources didn't exist either until I started talking to people.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes a lot to step out and ask people questions. And it's like these type of discussions need to happen because this is how people find out that resources exist.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is the biggest problem. It's just like I asked a question today: what organization supports the homeless? I only had one organization posted on my Facebook page. But how many organizations are there? There's at least 20 different organizations in Fayetteville that does things for the homeless.
Well, can I
So
say
it's,
this, Mario? I'm
And see,
sorry.
look
people
at this
don't
lady, Pamela. She's making a good. This is the thing, and this is why we got to be careful about when we don't agree, how we
right,
approach a disagreement.
What did she say?
You know,
A
this
lady
lady
in
is
her
saying, "Hey, I'm
clothes
out here.
and
I'm ready to
breadwinner
learn." You know
and
what I
lower
mean? Like,
downtown
where is it at? She's
Beach Street.
asking. So,
right.
where do y'all post? Do y'all have a place that y'all post community or where it's like, can somebody start a Facebook group? If Demetria is saying she has access to these things, start a Facebook group
Well, I was gonna ask.
for
That's the
lower
question I was gonna.
downtown and tell them where to go.
Well, that's the
And
question
that's
I was
and
gonna
I think
ask too. Why we
that's
can't
what
go into? Go ahead, Mario.
go ahead. Well, I was just saying, and that's what I'm in the process of doing. Is I see the problem, and I
Why we
said,
can't go into the communities that want?
and it's like I see where all the problems lie at. Is we have the resources, but people are not sharing those resources because they again they're getting upset. And the thing is, this what happens is, let's say me and Marcella, okay, we have and I can say this for the skate group. Right? Let's use the skate group for example. Skate group, we're trying to work together to improve the skater community. I disagree with Marcella and her group, and so Marcella those group is offering a lot more things that could benefit my skaters. But because I disagree with Marcella, we never connect together to take care of the people that we're leading. So
Bingo.
then those resources now fall away because I have a disagreement with Marcella. That is how Fayetteville is. People have these personal disagreements, hold all these resources, and because they have a personal dislike towards somebody, they turn around and say, you know what, I'm not going to support you. It's just like, for example, we have a situation where Operation Turkey. I've tried my best to understand this situation. Is you had a group of people working together, but because they couldn't get along, or I don't understand the whole situation with that. Is they broke it off and did their own two separate things, where they can benefit and help each other together. That is the problem in Fayetteville is that you have all these different organizations. I looked it up. All these nonprofits we have in Fayetteville, we should be in better shape. But because I don't like you, I have a personal
Bingo.
disagreement with you. Guess what? I'm gonna take my resources and only support the people that I want to support. And
And
then
And
stop
that's what it.
I'll
discrediting
go
each
with
other's
you.
experiences. Stop discrediting each other's experiences.
Yes,
Everybody's
exactly.
experience in any town, city is not the same. You can't call someone a liar because that's not your experience.
Right.
You don't know what somebody else is living and experiencing. We gotta learn to respect each other in what place we're in. Just because I'm in a better place doesn't mean I talk down to you or look down on you or discredit your experience. If
And
you're
that's
saying
and
you don't know where something is, it's my job if I know to tell you as my brother or my sister, not
Absolutely.
cut you off because you don't know and treat you like or tell you you're lying or discredit you. No, I know. Here's where you go. Go find it here. That's it. That simple.
And I think too, and you are so right, because I think too the mindset of that too is because of the fact that it's just like people think that okay, you either gonna get ahead of me, you're gonna do better than me. It's just like even with the jobs and stuff like that. Nowadays it's all she's gonna do it. It's all about who you know. You understand what I'm saying? And so,
Mhm.
like you said, when you have resources out here and you're not gonna give them to certain people because sometimes you feel some kind of way, you might feel threatened by okay, well if I tell them about this job, even though I work at the job already and I got
Bingo.
benefits, I'm not going to tell you because you might come to my job and you might,
Mhm.
move up faster than me when I want that promotion. But I ain't gonna, you know what I'm saying? It is right. It's that mindset, and that's I think what's going on in Fayetteville. Because the question I was going to ask Mario is like, with the resources, then if we're in a community where we want everybody to strive and everybody to be successful and live in safe neighborhoods, and we have even the grocery stores, we can tell by the areas that people live in, we don't have the same type of stuff in our grocery store. They don't put certain things in certain areas. You see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And so it's not just a community problem. It's a government problem, because it's certain things that they will not put in certain areas. You understand? If you give people a chance, then okay, let's start there. But when you just say, well, no, we're not gonna go over here on Mercy Road on Brad Boulevard or Spring Lake and put these type of stores over here. We're just gonna put them in these neighborhoods. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. That's where the mindset is gonna stay, because y'all, they showing us that we don't care about y'all because of I'm not affected by what y'all affected by. You see what I'm saying? Bingo. So why can't we? Huh?
But see, that's the thing. Is I say, like I always gonna keep saying, it's a double-edged sword. Is that if you don't take pride in your own community, bingo, you don't take pride in your own. People are going to be able to come in and do and say whatever. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the problem. Is like, for example, I mean, it's like across the board is people have to care, and that is the problem. Is we have to connect the dots to where for those that are, or I'm gonna say, are stuck in PTSD because of what they've been exposed to 20 plus years in their community. We have to come in. We can't just be one person come in and say we're going to make a change, and then that person's gone in 2 years. Bingo. We have to come a little bit stronger than that. And then the other issue that we run into is you got so many people comfortable with their position to where they're doing things on purpose because they don't want their position to come jeopardized. So in other words, they can't keep up with the times. So instead of helping fix the problem, they kind of like do things to keep the problem existing, because that then it kind of like makes it to where they understand if they're needed, then that job that they're in won't go away.
Power. Yeah. It's power and control.
Right.
And they abuse it too.
Mm-hmm.
And they abuse it so bad.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Fayetteville has, and I would say it for most people who have grown up in Fayetteville, they are like what this PTSD is real across the board for a lot of these individuals that grew up here in Fayetteville. They have been exposed to some a lot of bad things. I mean, I went out one night. The chief of police took me in the Fayetteville Pack out, and just being exposed to 3 hours and 30 minutes of the world that they have to deal with in Fayetteville, it had me have mental have me have a mental relapse into some of the stuff that I was exposed to in my childhood. So the trauma is real in Fayetteville. The trauma is real in these neighborhoods. Until we actually are serious about fixing these problems, we're going to keep having this trauma. These kids are going to continue to keep growing up in these bad situations, and this cycle is going to completely keep going the way it is.
And they don't even have a choice. That's not a choice that they want for themselves. You understand what I'm saying? They don't have a choice. They don't. Whatever environment they grew up in, you know.
They don't, and I think we can make a difference. And I think and I honestly, but me personally, with all the people that we have in Fayetteville, the backgrounds, the way we have some older people. I've talked to some older people that are growing up here in Fayetteville that have so much knowledge and wisdom, to where just their knowledge and wisdom will make a difference. Just them knowing the pros and cons of how Fayetteville has changed over the years could make a major impact on how we can change our communities. I've sat back, and and that's the thing is, I had this one lady. She worked for social services, and this is the thing. She was working the polls, and she was working for Charles Evans, and she stopped me and she had a conversation. And that conversation made a vision. She worked for social service all these years, retired from social service, and now can't even get the benefits that she's entitled to. That spoke volumes on the issues that we have going on in Fayetteville. You have individuals that are really going through some things, and because these problems are so far down the line from we're dealing with stupid things, and I'm gonna say they're stupid. I'm not gonna say they're stupid. Let me back up. They are important, but we're dealing with things like where we're gonna put the next gas station, or where we're gonna put this, or okay, We need to focus on other things. Now, some of the council members have some great ideas, but then their agenda, it blocks out from people being able to see the good ideas. And I think that's the other issue, is that your agenda should be the people.
Well, Eric said it earlier, and we all are saying the same thing: follow the money.
Right.
This is becoming more about, and it has been forever. Again, the American way has been to drum things down, over traumatize us so that we're so numb that we can't even have compassion or empathy, because we feel like, well, if I got out, they can get out too. It becomes that mess instead of, that's
Right.
what I'm saying. Our problem is us. Like, we don't come together.
Right.
And when we do, then if someone doesn't agree, we're instantly offended, mad, and done.
And we think because people are homeless, people might not have a job. Like every day, me and my husband, we walk every day, and we walk at a park called Arnett Park. And so now, since they see us every day, they're familiar with us, so they always speaking. And it's a couple, they homeless, but they live in their car. So they come to the park every day, and they can go in there and they got a public bathroom out. And so I guess the wife and stuff goes in there and she wash up and everything like that. And so, and as me and my husband, we walk and we talk, I said, you know what? I can never judge that situation. The only thing I can say is that I just pray that whatever got them there, they get their stuff up out of there, because we was walking one day, and as I walked past the car, a little girl was sitting in the back seat. So they got a child too. So we don't even know if the child is in school, because when we saw him this morning, the little girl was laying in the back seat with sleep with the blanket over her. So, and she's school age. You understand what I'm saying? And so you can't homeschool her because you need Wi-Fi, that type of stuff to homeschool. And my prayer for these people are, because like I said, to just whatever resources out there that can help them. You know, it's getting get ready to be cold now and stuff like that, and it's really sad. And so I can't judge that.
I have a question for Mario. Whatever you're starting on Facebook, what Marcella just said, could she go and post that in there and possibly it needs to be where she could tell that type of story and get access to resources.
And that's what we're trying to do.
That's what I'm trying to make sure.
Right. The first, and the thing is, the first meeting we have is tomorrow. And the biggest thing is right now, to me, is structure and organization. Is that we need to break all these barriers that we have in Fayetteville. We have a lot of different barriers. I mean, and when I say we have barriers, I mean we have barriers on top of barriers of history on why people don't work together. So we have to break all these barriers and bring all these resources together. I asked the question, how can we help somebody? Where I know, like I went out, the chief of police took us out and introduced us to a family. This family or these individuals are living in a hotel, paying $70 a night, and they can afford to move into an apartment. I mean, they can afford to pay an apartment if they get able to get into it, but they can't get into an apartment because of their credit score or because of they don't have all the money they need for a deposit. So then I asked that question. So I took that same issue and put it on Facebook, and I had three different people put information out there that I didn't know exists. So
see, that's what I'm saying.
And so it's like we're connecting the dots. And like I said, to reach what she said, Miss Murphy, what she said is true. There's a lot of resources available in Fayetteville. I mean, I went and looked and saw the actual breakdown of all the different nonprofits in the Fayetteville area. So there are resources on top of resources, but we have to break these barriers to where we can connect these people to these resources. Like what she said about the homeless. I mean, yes, I actually saw where there's 10 families living in a parking lot out of their cars. It's like Fayetteville has a lot of things going on with it that people are not doing. But guess who's having to deal with these things? You have the police, the Fayetteville Police Department out here. Not only are they dealing with crime and violence, but they're trying to support these families that are going through it. These homeless families that are having issues. It's just that when the police chief took us out there, and these families and these kids came up to him like they knew him, like they know. And see, that right there says a lot, that the police are engaged, but they don't highlight it. They don't talk about it. They don't try to get in the spotlight. because that's not what that's not what they're all about. They're about taking care of the community.
So to
And
answer Pamela, she's asking, but are the resources in the neighborhoods needed? She also mentioned about rapid fire. Someone on here shared a therapy site for her. So that's what I'm saying. If y'all need help formulating this Facebook group, because to me it needs to happen sooner than later. That
right,
type of stuff that y'all are saying should be able to be put in one place for someone like Pamela, who may not know in her neighborhood how to get to it, but she can go to this place of resources and say, oh,
right,
okay, I need this, I need that, I need this, I need that. Because we're kind of, you get to a point where it's kind of beating a dead horse when you're talking about somebody who just went through rapid gunfire 2 nights ago.
right.
I
And it's
mean, you
not
know what I mean? Like,
right. And the thing is, that's not. And the thing is, this is like maybe the fourth incident that's happened, or one, two, three. I mean, it might be the third or fourth incident that's happened, and it within last 30 days.
wow.
So it's like what she's saying is like, yes, they're traumatized out there in that neighborhood. And I think that is the problem, is when we see stuff like this in the news. How many people care to even go and look and see what the community looks like?
I do,
How many
because I was
people
just going
want
to
to go
ask
down
you,
the
where's
street?
Pleasant? Where's that
Yeah,
neighborhood? Pleasant. What is it called? Pleasant Oaks or Pleasant? Where's that?
Pleasant Acres is a little bit more closer to the Ramsey Street. It's between Ramsey. It's not that far away from Ramsey Street.
Okay.
Um, but that neighborhood is nowhere close to where B Street is located.
Okay.
Oh, I
So
know
it's
B
like,
Street.
well,
I know
people
B
need to
Street.
go and take a look at it, because it makes you understand what they're up against. And what she said
Yeah.
about resources, and I hope in the meeting that I attend tomorrow, I'm able to get information, because that's the problem right now, is
Yeah.
getting people to come together. First, that's the hardest part. Getting
Mm-hmm.
everybody to break
Mhm.
their barriers that they
Mindset.
have and come together and focus on it.
Yeah.
Number two is to get structured where we can help and put resources in places like with Pamela's neighborhood, to where the resources are available, not just for the election,
Yeah.
Right.
but during
Right.
the entire time.
Yeah.
It's
Yes.
just like all these different, and the thing is, we have recreation centers throughout different places and how are these recreation centers being utilized? We
Are they
got one recreation
resource?
center over here
We can
giving
talk about
training on financial training, computers, but then over here, this recreation center, they're not doing anything.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Well,
all based on.
I think that Facebook, that social media reach out would be great if y'all can get that going. From what I understand, when I work with nonprofits, was the only thing that you wouldn't basically, and find out what the rules are for Fayetteville, because each city has different rules for what can and cannot be posted on there. I know any type of domestic violence things, you would have to ask them to contact you
Mm-hmm.
individually, because they don't want the predator or the person to have access to those resources. But when I did the nonprofit, anything else could have, any of the other stuff could be posted. So if y'all need any help, I may not live there, but I've done the nonprofit stuff before. I've helped establish the Facebook groups, and that way I don't mind helping from a distance. But that's something that would definitely bridge the gap really quick, to have that page dedicated to the community as a resource page. There's also on different radio stations to you guys, like we have something here called 88.3, where you can post information, and it not only it streams through the radio and on a site specifically for community jobs, things like that.
Right. And see, I'm gonna say this, is that there's a lot of and that's the thing I'm realizing when I'm as I'm going through this process. There's a lot of this stuff in place already,
Okay.
and it's sad to say that the right connection hasn't been made.
Got it.
And when I say that, it's like we have to, and this is one of those things about our military training. We have to connect the dots, and we know
Yep.
how to come in as organizers and connect the dots. There's a lot of stuff that's out here in Fayetteville that can be connected together to where all this information that we're talking about become effective for the entire community.
Yes.
And I think that's where with me just DJing in different places, I see the resources. I mean, and that's what I don't understand is if I come on this side of town, or on my side of town, District 7, I can DJ here, and the recreation centers got all these great programs. But then when I go across the way, over off the Merc, and DJ at the recreation center over there, Seabrook and different things, it's like they have the stuff, but they're not able to get connected to the way they should. And I'm
So is
not
that a
sure if
community? I'm sorry,
it's
Mario. I didn't mean to cut you off. So is that a community problem, or is that a city council problem, or is that a government problem? You see what I'm saying?
and see the
Who?
thing is, and
Sharing
that's the
resources.
problem.
That's
That's
the
the
problem.
problem that I don't understand because
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at it from the outside. So like
Yeah.
I have to take time out to get into the inside and see what's working, what's not working. Because there's a lot of stuff that's working, but people just don't know about it.
Yeah, that's what it is. Not
It's
knowing the
like lack of
resources.
information. I mean, like for example, it's like to find out what's going on in the city. If you are not a computer literate person, you're
You're
not going
not
to
gonna
find out.
know. Mm-mm.
Mm-mm.
And that's why you got to make it simple. You got to put it somewhere. Well, because you're finding that out, that's why you've got to advocate to be able to put it somewhere. And that's why I said find out the rules for what you can and cannot post. Because what you'll find is the people that don't want to share the information, that are territorial for whatever reason they are, they'll try to find a reason to shut down what you're trying to
Mm-hmm.
do.
Right.
Yes.
So find out the rules. What can I post? What can I not post? Don't give me, if I can't post this, how can I get this resource to people? What can I post to say? Can they contact me separately? Who do I, you're gonna have to get very strategic because people play games.
But see, the thing is,
Yeah.
and see, this is the problem: is majority of these people, these locations, don't have access to even a computer to even look at this
Wi-Fi,
type of stuff.
right? Or internet.
And
Yeah.
that's why I was asking questions in reference to where is that program at? And I know someone has the answer in reference to the free Wi-Fi that was
There's
supposed to
no,
be
there's no
placed throughout the different
Oh,
places.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's a lot of things there's a lot of dots that have to be connected, and
okay.
maybe they are being connected, and maybe they're not. But that's what I'm hoping that with the meeting that I have tomorrow is a beginning on how we can bring all these resources together. Because I'm telling you, it's that like and what she said, Pamela just said, Walker Spivey, that recreation center. I mean, you look at Walker Spivey, and
for
then you come over
real.
to
Not
Clifton
sharing the
Recreation.
resources. They don't know.
You look at just look
Not
at
the
the two
education.
recreation centers alone
Not sharing
on
information.
how they're built
Trying to keep the
and what
money
they
inside
have
that certain
inside the
demographic.
building. Just the buildings alone, it says a lot. You and Walker Spivey is an older building. You come over to Cliffdale, even though it might have been there for a while, but guess what? It's a better building.
Thank you for
You're welcome,
joining,
Pamela.
Pamela. Yeah, she
And thank you,
um
Pamela.
So,
I would say thank you, Pamela,
mhm,
because you really don't understand how much information that you gave us that was very
mhm,
important.
mhm.
I
Everything you
think
said tonight is very helpful,
I
extremely
think it
helpful.
was her. I think it was her who made a comment earlier saying that somebody made a comment and said the mayor and them are trying to come up with a
No, that was Miss Murphy.
yeah,
Miss
come up with
Murphy
a
is a
page to
she's a counselor.
so they can share resources. That's a start. And for the communities that may not be have a computer access to a computer, you can check out you can get a board and a certain spot, like at a bus stop or at if they don't have a community center, just at a
Hey.
certain place, and put a
Mhm.
lockable board in there, and you can just post up there things that are happening or things that are coming up, or if you need help, go there. We can do that as well. It's what's going on now is a lack of knowledge. People just don't know.
Right.
People just
And
don't know.
Pamela,
You see
Can
it
can we
everywhere.
go ahead and just pray for Pamela real quick before she hop off? Because she's asking for prayer. Please keep our neighborhood in your prayers. We need them. So can we just do that real quick for her before she hops off? Because
we
I
sure
just
can.
yeah, so I can lead it real quick. I just something in my spirit just tells me to do that for her because they've experienced a lot just in the last 2 weeks, you
Right.
know. So
Okay.
Pam, before you hop off, let us pray for you really quick. So Father God, we just want to say thank you. Thank you for opening up doors and opportunities for people to be able to come on and express themselves openly. This is why we have freedom of speech. Father God, we just ask right now that you cover Pamela and her community. We thank you for Mario coming forward and trying to bridge the gaps and connect the dots in the communities, up for creating this platform for all of us to have our eyes open and be enlightening to things that we may have been unaware of. Allow anything, God, that was discussed tonight to be for the better good for your kingdom, and to protect those in the neighborhood that are being held hostage, God, that want better for their families and for themselves. Allow everything that has been discussed tonight to be for the edification of your kingdom, God, not for anybody's sole purpose to be seen or to be heard, but to heal and to be able to mend relationships and connect people in ways that will be resourceful for them to bring them out of their situations. And God, just continue to allow us to have these open discussions when needed or as needed to help others, and allow us all in our situations to help Fayetteville or any community that we can be a part of and sow seeds with our knowledge, with our wisdom, with our courage, with our boldness, and with our ability to understand and comprehend what others may not. So, God, right now, we just, ask that you put a hedge of protection around Pamela and her family. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. That could be
Man,
our
I
ending.
just want to say
Yeah.
this one thing. I know I know we're way over time. I just want to
Yes.
say this one thing. The reason why I stress to people that I have no intentions of running is because people who are running for office, it's just a time and a season. I'm in it for the long haul. I mean, I'm not. I don't
That's
look.
right.
You're welcome, Pam. Pam.
You're welcome.
Um, I'm not in it. Just I'm not trying to gain anything
So
from
let's
this. I'm not trying to gain
Or
any type of profit from this.
whatever.
All I'm trying to do is I'm really trying to make a difference to where we looking and observing from 12 years of being connected to the Fayetteville community. I see the problems that come across the board. We go through these different cycles of different Congress, or excuse me, back up, council members. And some council members come in, they want to make a difference, and then some of them are not active at all. They just hold the position so they can get paid. And the thing is, they're getting a paycheck to do this job. I'm not getting a paycheck.
That's right.
I'm not doing it for the money. I'm not trying to be in the spotlight. Don't want to be in the spotlight, but sometimes it happens. That's not my agenda. I want people to see that this is a battle that we need to come focus. And then my veterans. I mean, I get it. We've been through enough, but we have the skill set to make a difference.
Mhm.
We have the leadership to where we can make a difference. So I really, I mean, don't get me wrong. For those that are doing, I'm gonna say thank you for doing what you're doing, because we really don't have to do anything.
Mm-mm.
So but altogether, I want people to understand that we have to do something. We got to do something.
Mhm.
We can't keep. And I mean, and Pamela, I like the stuff that's going on in B Street. I mean, it is like we've had a carjacking over there. We've had shootings over there. We've had people get shot. And I mean, it's like that area is a war zone.
Where is B Street, y'all?
it's like downtown, and it's like going downtown. It's like downtown, right off of Person Street. Like I said, I'm born and raised here
Mhm.
and stuff like that. But it's just sad. It's just sad. B Street and all that area been bad for a long time, and so
We just gotta
we, we
we just gotta get over ourselves and come
Yes.
together. We have to get over ourselves. That's the only thing that's gonna fix it.
And
Come
hold these
together.
churches accountable too.
there's a lot of churches that be
It's a
around
lot of
around
churches that benefit off of the communities. Hold
yeah.
Well,
their behinds accountable.
you
It's
know what?
not
And I
just
think,
those political leaders, they're getting paid big bucks too. Hold their
well,
behinds
and I'm
accountable.
gonna say this: that I will
Mhm.
say this. There are some active churches, just like the one that the community meeting I went to yesterday. That church, the
Yeah,
pastor and his wife, they're both
let me call
pastors.
you.
They were they were dead on taking care of their community, and I was like,
Yeah.
I was really surprised to see how they were. I mean, they weren't holding back no punches on trying to do things was right. They even said, we're going to do this. If the city won't do it, we'll do it. So it's like to see that church doing it, and then like Manna, it's a lot of churches are doing stuff, and like one of the things I've learned, a lot of these churches are doing a lot of stuff, but they're not putting it in the spotlight. Which
Mhm.
I understand that is that they're not trying to bring, they're not trying to get in the spotlight. They're just trying to help the people. And so as I'm going into these different paths and different meeting different people, I'm seeing that there's a lot of stuff being done, but it's not being done in the spotlight. The Fayetteville Police Department, I'm gonna tell y'all, they are doing way more than what people think. And if they actually got a chance to see just 30 minutes of what they do, they will see that the Fayetteville Police Department are not out here to hurt us.
Mhm.
That's the problem that I have with some of these council members is they're trying to make the police out to be the bad guys, but they're taking on a workload. I mean, how many people going to get paid less than $40,000 a year, or I would say about roughly about $40,000 a year? If something goes wrong, they got no legal backing, they have no union, they have nothing. So if they're doing their job and something goes wrong, they have to get legal representation for themselves. I mean, the police, who wants
The
to
world
work
just messed up.
in that environment? But they're here, and most of the ones that I've sat back, I've met some individuals that work in the police department that can drop their paperwork right now, but they feel as though their job is not complete.
Mhm.
So that's one of the things that for these so-called council members out here trying to make the police look like they're bad guys, you need to take a better look at your team player, because your team player is really doing more for the people than what you are doing.
Well, let them have an accident. They're gonna want to call 911 and want a police person to show up.
Mhm.
It's funny how you don't need the police until you need them.
Right.
Got to be careful. So,
But you're
yeah.
trying to portray them, and they're trying to portray them as the evil doers, and that's why people are stuck. Is that because you got these individuals out here pretending or putting their false pretense that the police are bad people? So then people are stuck because now the one resource that is really trying to make the biggest difference is being labeled the bad guy, and that's the problem
All
that
of
I
us
have.
should need more training and more knowledge,
Mhm.
including the police department,
Mhm.
about how to handle this world that we live in now. Because
Right.
this is not the same world any of us was
No.
born in.
No.
No, it's not. And the things are getting
Not.
worse. I mean, the overdoses, the stuff that goes on. I mean, it's just like if you listen to how the fire department has to have certain things on hand because of the drug overdoses. I mean, that is like you have different places. I mean, you have different organizations that have stuff just to deal with drug overdoses. You have
That's a whole nother
organizations.
look. That's a whole nother
Yeah,
ball
yeah, that's a
game.
whole other thing.
Yeah,
But
it's a
But
I
whole
know
we're
that.
gonna
nother.
wrap this on
This
up.
has
Yeah, because I
been
know my
Yeah.
8 o'clock. I'm 30 minutes late for my 8 o'clock meeting,
this has
Yeah.
been wonderful.
Oh,
and I
love y'all,
apologize
y'all.
to them again. I know I'm apologizing
Yeah.
to them again in public because I do apologize. I know that this subject is extremely important, and I know it means a lot to me because I know that's the thing I'm tired of now. I'm tired of people taking advantage of the situation in Fayetteville. People are trying to make a name for themselves instead of taking care of the people. That's the problem that I have across the board.
And
And
we'll
so
talk
that's
too,
why,
Mario, because
huh?
I said we'll talk too because I want to go out in the community with you as well. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm that type of person as well too. I want to make a difference and stuff.
Right. I
Instead
know
of
it's
just
I know
sitting
you were
around.
Eric. I know y'all are right there. I mean,
Yeah, I want
over
to
all
make
the
a. I
years
want to
I've
be a
known
part of
y'all,
that too.
we're all the same. We're all the
Mhm.
same about trying to make a difference for this community. And it's like,
Yeah.
to me, it's sad because it's like the more I'm finding out, there are all these different resources in different places, but people don't want to talk because they have their personal grudges against each other.
Yeah.
And I like me, I might have my grudge. I know how to put my grudge in check. If I see someone's trying to do something overall positive, I know how to humble myself and put my pride aside to do what's better for the people. As
Yeah.
that's one of the things the military has taught us, that we might have a personal issue with somebody, but when it comes to take care of the mission, we got to take care of the mission.
Mission first.
Well, this was another
Yeah,
good one.
it was.
This is a
Thank
real
y'all
good
so
one.
much. Start,
Another banger.
But
We got to come up with something good next week.
A lot to pray about.
Yeah.
So,
and I mean,
Right,
and I'm glad that, and a lot of people that spoke tonight, I'm glad y'all did, because y'all really, again, the more, and that's one thing. The more I get deeper into this stuff, the more information I'm finding out. I'm finding out information that I actually, like today, I slept for 3 hours because I was on data overload for these last couple of weeks. I mean, it's like people are, I mean, they're just like, it's like volumes and volumes of information coming to where my mentally had to shut down for a couple of hours so I can play catch up.
Yeah.
So
Right.
This was a banger.
yeah.
I so
Thank y'all
enjoyed
so
it.
much. Yeah.
Yep.
We over here babysitting too, so
Oh,
okay.
I figured that much.
yeah, we ain't even home.
You see us kept leaving, right?
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
But this, and that's what they let's talk, and that's what they, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, that's what Let's Talk is about. We're not trying to, we're not put on a show. We're realistic. We're trying to make a difference. We're trying to point out stuff. We're trying to highlight things and get people to talk about it, because the more we talk about it, the more we get educated on what's really going on. There's a lot of myths, and that's the biggest thing about Fayetteville. There's a lot of assumptions. We got to kill those assumptions. We just sat here today and we saw where one person thought we didn't have resources, another person saying we do have the resources. So there's a lot of disconnects that we can fix.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping and praying that in the time to come that we're able to fix these problems.
Yeah.
When we disconnect, can we hang tight for just a second?
Yep,
Yeah.
for sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, we'll see y'all next Tuesday.
Have a good evening.
Good evening, everyone.
And again, this was a good show because we did get information and we were able to put out information. So it was always a good thing.
Thanks.
All right,
Good night, everybody.
Y'all
Good
be
night.
safe out there. We'll see you next time.